Hi everyone, welcome to our live session. Set a realistic career goal and position yourself to get interviews. To define a realistic job goal, we need to start with the context, the current job market, and we have to be aware that it's not the same as it was 3 or 5 years ago. The pandemic, tech adoption, and global shifts have reshaped how companies hire and what skills they look for. Let's look at what's happening. And we will start with the demand. LinkedIn remains one of the strongest indicators of job market activity, and we're seeing growth in the number of job ads across several countries. Let's take Latvia, for example. Compared to week 13th in 2020, when we started gathering those stats, there's been a 1,757% increase in number of job ads. Estonia and Lithuania also show a strong growth, nearly 10 times and 7 times more postings respectively. So while this data is encouraging, especially in smaller or recovering markets, countries like Germany, France, and Poland show massive drops in jobs postings, between 60% and even 70% lower than in 2020. But here's the catch. Remember that LinkedIn reflects only the visible market, what companies are willing to post publicly. The hidden job market, which is accessed via networking or direct contact, remains just as important. According to the World Economic Forum, the next 5 years will bring rapid growth in roles connected to AI, sustainability, and digital transformation. That means companies are actively looking for professionals who bring adaptability, digital skills, and the learning mindset. In other words, if your experience aligns with these trends, that's your strategic advantage. On the other side, roles that rely on manual, repetitive, or easy automatable tasks are shrinking. This includes administrative functions, some finance roles, and those roles connected to data entry. These are being outsourced, offshored, or fully automated. If you're in one of these areas, you may need to rethink your positioning or most probably reskill. Technology is the main driver behind all of those shifts. Between now and 2027, the most adopted technologies will be AI, cloud computing, big data, and digital platforms. So, as you can see, companies are not only hiring differently, they are thinking differently. And your job goal has to reflect this new reality. If you can show digital competence, whether through experience, tools, or certifications, it will definitely make the difference in the recruitment process. Also, COVID permanently redefined the job market. New roles emerged like remote team specialist or digital transformation leads. Others have vanished. Hybrid models are now standard in many industries. And this is important because many candidates are still job searching as if it were 2018. But companies are hiring with 2025 and of course future in mind. So, given the context, where do we start? With a job search strategy built around four essential elements. And the first one isn't your CV, it's your job goal. Your goal needs to be clear, specific, and realistic. In uncertain times, we recommend choosing the path of least resistance. Let me explain what we understand by that. If a company is looking for a specific set of competencies, they want to hire someone who is a direct match, someone we call plug and play candidate. That means someone who can join, get started immediately, and require minimal training. And when recruiters or HR teams are involved, they tend to look for apples to apples comparisons. If you're not a close match, you might not make the cut. Here's the trick. When defining your goal positioning, ask yourself, do I need to look like an apple or an orange? If the answer is orange, and if I am an apple, how do I present myself like an orange? At least enough to be considered in the recruitment process. So once your goal is defined, everything builds around it. A complete modern job search strategy nowadays includes a well defined job goal, a unique selling proposition USP that proves your value, two tailored CVs and yes to, and an optimized LinkedIn profile, and the strategic use of all job hunting channels. Let's now briefly review those channels. You've likely used one or two, but to succeed, as I mentioned, you need to use all four. We have job ads, networking, direct outreach to decision makers, and headhunters. And each channel has its own purpose and efficiency level. Ignoring one means missing out on potential opportunities. And here's what's changed recently. Job ads used to be responsible for only 3% of successful hires, as you can see. Now they account for nearly 40%. Why? Because we have better platforms, we use ATS to optimize our work, and we have more remote roles and a more active employer presence online. But the job ads alone aren't enough. Following up and engaging with your network, decision makers, and headhunters still matter. When we average the last 3 years, we can observe that job ads seem to be the most efficient way of looking for a job nowadays. Direct contact is still very effective channel, while networking and headhunters are slower but still very important. In other words, multi-channel approach increases your chances significantly. And we have to remember that in 2025, expectations are higher. Companies want candidates who are self aware, digitally fluent, and proactive. A vague goal or outdated strategy simply won't cut it anymore. This isn't about working harder, but smarter with a structure based, data based approach. And in this first model today, we'll guide you through how to define a realistic job goal based on your background and experience, and how to build a strong evidence based USP. You'll hopefully leave with greater clarity, direction, and a solid foundation for your job search strategy. Then, on Module 2, we'll discuss how you can prepare effective CVs and an optimized LinkedIn profile for both humans and ATS algorithm. On Module 3, we will cover all job hunting channels, so how you can proactively look for a job by reaching out to decision makers, headhunters, and your own network. And on the last module, we will discuss interview preparation. Okay, let's now set realistic expectations. To understand how long job search may take, we need to look at the complexity of the change you are aiming for. And we differentiated three. The standard one, which means that you are looking for a role that aligns with your experience, skills, and industry. We have also medium, which means you are staying within your function but switching industries, and difficult. So you are looking for a job that is completely outside your core experience and industry. It is possible, but it definitely requires planning. And before COVID, standard job searches often took like 3 to 4 months. Now it's closer to 6. Medium complexity changes used to take 3 to 6 months. Now it's around 9. And difficult transitions still take up to 24 months, including the preparation phase. So if your search is taking longer, it's not a failure, it's simply the new normal. Let's now have a look at few examples, some real ones. Here's the first. We have a client that has masters in architecture. He or she is currently studying executive MBA, has 5 years of experience as an architect, and this person wants to be a startup consultant. Would you say this is a standard, medium, or difficult job search complexity? I will give you a few moments, a few seconds to think about it. The answer is between medium and difficult. We don't have enough information about the candidate and we need more context, but it's a significant shift, likely requiring repositioning or and upskilling. The second example, we have masters in economics and business, 20 years of experience, including within which 15 years in corporations, including 10 at C-level, and 5 years of being self-employed. This person wants to re-enter corporate life as an advisor or external consultant. Is this a plug and play move or a more complex shift? What do you think? This is actually very difficult, not due to skills but perception. The longer someone is out of the corporate world, especially after working independently, the harder it is to re enter, especially at the same seniority level. Let's now slightly rephrase the previous example. We have the same person, but now framed as since 2020, successful project based advisory for management boards. And this person's goal is being external advisor or consultant role within a corporation. How does this change things? Now it becomes standard to medium, but closer to medium. The positioning is definitely clearer. The experience sounds more structured and intentional. Sorry. However, it will still be tough to get back into the corporation for the same reasons. Let's move to a next one. We have a person who has a degree in psychology, 7 years in HR departments. Currently, this person is HR business partner, and this person's goal is to become HR manager on or another HR BP role. This is standard, medium, or difficult. This one is a standard transition, a natural progression within the same function. Next example, we have a person with masters in marketing, 11 years of experience in marketing departments. It's a marketing manager role, and this person's goal is to become another marketing manager. This might seem standard, but here's the trick. In many markets, especially in uncertain times, marketing roles are high in competition. Marketing is often considered as cost center, which companies could cut first. If your profile is general without a niche or a specific added value, it becomes medium to difficult, despite being a lateral move. Let's now take the same person and add proven experience in e-commerce and skills in digital marketing, social media, and analytics. Now we are talking standard to medium because the positioning aligns with high demand areas. These all examples and this one in particular show how much your positioning influences perceived job search complexity. Let's summarize what we've seen so far in terms of job goal difficulty. We have standard plug-and-play profiles that meet 2025 hiring demands, like skills like digitalization, change management, analytics, leadership. Medium, which means function shifts high competition fields, like HR or marketing, or industry changes within the same function. And we have difficult, which means industry and function change, promotions or relocation without relevant experience or language skills. So this is your benchmark. Use it to assess how much time and effort your job search might realistically require. But here's what really makes the difference: how you position yourself. You might have a difficult profile, but if you present it clearly and back it with the right evidence, you can make it competitive. At the same time, even a strong candidate can be rejected if their story is vague or unfocused. Positioning is your power tool, and what you are able to prove is what counts. And this part applies to all candidates, but especially to those with medium or difficult job goals. Here's our golden rule: evidence means credibility. It's enough to say that you're strategic, results driven, or innovative. You need to show it with numbers, outcomes, and tangible proof. And keep in mind, part of your interview happens before you even have a chance to speak. On screen presence matters. How you look, sound, and show up digitally is part of the equation. What counts as professional evidence? Certificates from recognized platforms, documented achievements, ideally year by year, completed projects, client impact, budget effects, cost savings, process improvements. So the more measurable, the better. Numbers speak louder than adjectives. Okay, let's now switch gears. Whether you're setting your job goal voluntarily or someone made that decision for you, it's a good time to reflect on your career so far and decide what comes next. And that's where the career management theory and science come in. About 40 years ago, a company called Decision Dynamics asked themselves, why do people manage their careers so differently? Why do some people stay in one field for their entire lives and aim to become top experts while others move from company to company? And why are there people who, even before finishing the university, already know that they want to become CEOs within 10 to 15 years? To explore this, they conducted a large study. They analyzed over 1 million careers over 40 years. And they discovered four main patterns: expert, linear, spiral, and transitory. And we look at them from two important perspectives: career concepts and career motives. Career concepts describe how we see a successful career, how we perceive a successful career. It's the direction of movement and duration of stay in one field. In other words, what we actually do. And in that case, experts want to stay in the same field for life. At events, they introduce themselves with their profession. Hi, I'm a lawyer. Hi, I am an accountant. Their identity is closely tied to their role. Linears are all about upward movement. Better company, better title, higher salary, and more prestige. The length of stay in the one field varies, as long as it helps them simply to advance. Spirals change the roles every 5 to 10 years, but within related ideas. And when I want to describe this pattern, I always use example of my colleague Anna. She studied psychology, then worked in recruitment for 7 years. Then she moved into internal HR, and she advanced from senior specialist to HR director, and then she moved into career consulting. So as you can see, all those changes, all those moves are related and are within the broader HR field. And transitories, they change jobs every 2 to 4 years. often to completely unrelated areas. It's a pattern without the pattern. And years ago, some people would have said it didn't count as a career at all. But fortunately, today, we know better. As to career motors, these are the underlying drivers. So it means what gives us satisfaction at work, and it's what we'd love to be doing. Yeah. So experts are driven by expertise and security. They enjoy improving quality and working with professionalism. Linears are motivated by power, achievement, hierarchy, and compensation. Spirals seek personal growth, creativity, and teamwork. And transitories thrive on variety, independence, mobility, and fast learning. And probably when you heard about these patterns, some of you probably thought, oh, that's totally me. Or some you might have also had reactions like transitory sounds unserious or expert sounds boring. But this theory is not about judgment, it's about awareness. And you can reflect on your own profile or you can take the test. And the test results show you two sets of data. Blue bars mean career concepts, so what your mind considers the right career path. Remember that this will be influenced by upbringing, education, societal expectations, and the red bars, which correspond to career motives. So what your heart truly wants and finds satisfying. And in this example, the blue bars indicate a combination of two preferences, advancement and developing competencies. This suggests that the person sees an ideal career in something like general management, where both progress and growth are important. And in this case, the red bars, the heart, match the blue bars, the mind. And this is what we aim for, alignment between career concepts, the mind, and career motives, the heart. When your heart and when your mind agree on what your career should look like, you get clarity, satisfaction, and engagement. But how many people do you think actually have this alignment between career concepts and motives? Think about it for a second. The data shows that only 36% of professionals are aligned. That means that 60% are not. But that doesn't mean that those 60% are completely unhappy, but they could be more fulfilled. There's still a lot of misalignment and disengagement. Just simply imagine being in a company where 60% of employees are not using their full potential. That's a huge waste of talent and energy. And now let's look at two common examples of misalignment. In the first example, the blue bars mind say, I want to advance, I want to climb the corporate ladder, I want to develop further my competencies. But the red bars, the heart, say, I want to be an expert. So there's no desire to manage a team. Spiral and transitory motives are in sync. And this could be a technical person, maybe a lawyer or programmer. Let's assume it's a programmer. Now imagine this person's manager say, you're doing great, you're our best programmer, let's promote you to a team leader. Will this person say yes? Probably. Will they want to say yes? Not really. Because their mind says it's a good career move, that should be the next step. Their heart say, please just let me code. Now, this doesn't mean they will automatically fail in a leadership role. No, They might learn the skills, build habits, or even become a solid manager. But at the end of the day, it won't be deeply satisfying. Next, we have the good news, bad news pattern. The mind says, I want to develop broadly and advance eventually. But the heart says, I want everything. I want stability, recognition, money, creativity, variety, personal development, freedom. Yeah? So a bit from all patterns. This is someone who's good at many things, like a kind of a renaissance profile. The good news, they are talented, enthusiastic, and can thrive in different roles. The bad news, sooner or later they feel like something's missing. Most jobs can only fulfill 2 to 3 of their many needs, rarely more. So one client described it like this: I feel like I'm not at a crossroads, but in a front of a roundabout with 10 exits, and I don't know which one to take. So, to make it even more complex, there's the mind, there's the heart, the CV, and then the job market. Once you combine all these layers, it gets really complicated. Sometimes the answer isn't changing job, yeah, it's changing something in the job, and this is where the job crafting comes in. When somebody tells us, I want to change job, our first question is why. And sometimes just something little is missing. So we go back and say, where's the discrepancy? What is missing? Are you managing a people that you don't want to be a, want to be a man, you don't want to be managing? Maybe you need to go back to your organization and say, listen, I don't want to be a manager anymore. Or maybe it's that you need a little bit more variety, so maybe you can engage in different projects within your organization. So one solution here is definitely job crafting. The other one, a very common one, is a combination of job crafting. What can I get out of my job versus what can I make up for in my free time? So, for example, if the organization doesn't allow you to develop your expert competencies and leave your expert pattern, you can start an expert blog. Or if your organization doesn't allow for transitory, for variety, independence, and autonomy, those people usually do a lot of sports, traveling, arts in their free time, or they do volunteering. So they um, make it up for those needs in their free time. And as you've seen, most people have primary and secondary patterns. That gives us even more insight into what roles might fit. And when we combine patterns, we can draw conclusions about career paths. And in this way, we have expert plus linear means functional manager, expert plus spiral general consultant, expert and transitory freelancer, linear and spiral general manager, linear and transitory independent business owner, and spiral plus transitory entrepreneur intrapreneur. Knowing your profile helps you save time and avoid applying to roles that don't match who you truly are. And we know that all of this can be overwhelming. There are so many possible paths. Sometimes more than one is viable. That's when we need tools to help narrow things down. And when choosing between options, simply create a decision matrix. Ask yourself, what are my must-haves and what are nice-to-haves that could distract me? Scoring options objectively helps cut through the emotion and get clarity. And we even created an exercise to help you with this, the value and parameter bidding tool. It helps you compare directions and job offers based on your real priorities, not someone else's. We've also recorded a short video that explains how to use the tool step by step, and you will find a link to that video in the comment section of this live stream. So definitely check the comment section later. If you're still unsure about your direction, you can try these tools to deepen your self awareness. The MBTI 16 personalities test, Clifton Strengths, formerly Gallup Strengths Finder, and Career View by Decision Dynamics that we've just discussed a few moments before. Each one gives a different lens on your personality, motivation, and how you operate best at work. They're especially useful when narrowing down options or clarifying your strengths. You will find all the links to these tests in the comment section of this live session. You can also reach out to us if you would like help interpreting the results or applying them to your own strategy. Okay, let's do a quick check-in. So far, we've covered how to define a realistic job goal, how to assess job search timelines and complexity, and how to align your career motives with your direction. And now we're moving to your USP, so unique selling proposition. Most people confuse long list and short list documents. When we ask candidates, why should Coca-Cola hire you? They often reply, I have finance experience, I am a good manager, and I am loyal. And that's a long list argument, so why you should be included in the recruitment process. But a short list argument is why you should be hired. So why you're the top 3 out of 50 candidates who look just like you on paper. So think in two layers. What recruitment process do I qualify for, and how do I stand out once I'm on the long list? And let's talk through an example. An interviewer asks, why should our company hire you? What would be your answer? Think about it for a second. Let's say that you say, because I am reliable, a good manager, and I am loyal. And unfortunately, that's the worst yet fairly common answer. And the descriptive adjectives won't work. You are not a student anymore. And at this level, recruiters need more than promises. Let's say, because I have more than 10 years of experience in finance, I am a good manager, and I worked in international companies. This is definitely a better answer, but still not enough. This is a standard answer given by most candidates. It shows the recruiter or hiring manager why you qualify to be part of the recruitment process, but not why you should be hired or at least shortlisted. And in a competitive process, that's not enough. Because I co authored and delivered 2 restructuring projects in the last 3 years. In each of my last 3 roles, I identified savings of up to €500,000. I also reduced unwanted rotation in the finance department from 23% to 0% within 6 months of taking over. And now, this is the best possible answer that the fewest candidates give. It gives the executive search consultant or HR department arguments to put you forth on the shortlist or even attach a recommendation of hiring you and not the other candidates. So, how do you get to your own USP? Start by listing your projects, achievements, types of clients, tools used, teams led, budgets managed, languages spoken, international exposure, certifications, and volunteer or board roles. And then ask what skills were actually needed to arrive at those achievements. And then look outside, which means research your competition on LinkedIn. Check what are they emphasizing. Compare their qualifications and keywords to yours. Also, ask for a feedback from mentors, ex-colleagues, former bosses, and even better, ask a friendly recruiter what they see as your standout elements. And the more you ask, the better. And you will quickly see that patterns will emerge. And once you've defined your USP, use it consistently across your CV summary, your LinkedIn headline and profile, cover emails to decision makers, headhunters, and your network, and of course during interviews, especially at the beginning when first impressions are formed. And we'll go deeper into those touch points in the next modules. So, if you want the one quick tip on how to improve your profile summary, it would be definitely avoid cliches like results oriented leader or team player. Instead, read our blog post. Stop sounding like a horoscope, fix your LinkedIn summary. The tips apply not just to LinkedIn but also to the summary section of your CV. And you will find a link to this post in the comment section. Okay, final tips before we wrap up today's module. Upskill or reskill now. Learn the tools like Zoom, MS Teams, Google Meet, have a professional digital presence. And definitely don't delay. Start gathering your evidence and start building your USP immediately. And remember, evidence means credibility. Thank you very much for joining today's session. I hope you are living with more clarity, structure, and motivation to take your next step. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.